I'm Johanna.
I'm Ann.
Earlier, actually, Peggy opened up by saying she had invited a lot of people here that aren't necessarily on the speaking circuit. I think she was talking about us. So we just bear with us. We have lots of notes to keep us on track. But
the information's good. We just may not be as smooth as some of the other.
Exactly. And before we do get started on anything, we want to say we would love for this to be an open format, conversation, discussion. We want to hear from you.
Just shout out if you have comments, questions, and really our goal is to get every person to contribute something during this session. So we have a couple of exercises that we'll get into later, but I'm just going to do kind of a little brief.
Not about bribes.
Oh, right, and we're not about bribes, so.
Good, get chocolate.
Yeah, exactly.
Works for me, but it might work for you guys. Okay, so before we actually talk about personal branding, we thought we would spend just a little bit of time on branding itself. So what is branding and what isn't it, right? Branding is definitely not marketing.
Marketing being communicating the value of a product or service to your customers.
Branding is also not public relations.
Sort of the wide expanse of someone else talking about your brand or product.
Branding is not advertising.
We all know what that is.
Branding is understanding. It's that crucial point where someone has a perception of your company, your product, your organization, or yourself. So it's not just a logo. I think sometimes people think it's a logo. It's much more than a logo. The logo is just a visual representation of what your brand actually is. So for example, what do we understand about Disney? Any words come to mind?
Fun.
Fun, good one.
Family.
Family.
Empty dreams. No.
There you go.
Happy ending.
Happy ending.
Oh.
Animation.
Princesses.
Of course. Prince Charming, right? Yeah.
Nobody don't work as rights.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's all part of the brand, right? How about BMW?
Luxury.
Ultimate reliability.
Ultimate driving machine. There you go, guideline.
Expensive.
Expensive, absolutely.
Prestigious.
Free, maintenance included.
Yeah. Okay. How about last one? We can't talk about strong brands without Apple. I mean, anybody?
Innovation.
Sophisticated innovation.
Different.
Different. Design.
Quality.
Clean.
Customer service.
Customer service. That's great.
Desirable.
Desirable. Absolutely. What was that?
Clean.
Clean. Absolutely.
Cutting edge.
Cutting edge. Wow, these people have spent a lot of money creating brands and creating perceptions in your mind, and it's worked. So the reason that they're doing that is because it creates a sense of differentiation among the rest of the world out there. So as individuals, why would we not want to try to do that for ourselves?
To make that emotional connection. So why should we care about personal branding? Personal branding is everything that makes you you. It's your first impression, and it's what you stand for, but more importantly, what other people think you stand for. We're all unique. We all have our own strengths and weaknesses, but we can really look at ourselves and understand our strengths and apply them to everything that we do. That's what's really going to set us apart from the rest of the world. And personal branding is about self-awareness, and it's about understanding how other people perceive you. And as we all know, branding is perception, and perception is reality. What someone thinks about you in their mind is really who you are to them. So many people think that personal branding is just for celebrities and famous people, but people like Donald Trump and Martha Stewart and Steve Jobs have created enormous personal visibility and success by actively promoting their brands. When you think Donald Trump,
I think
we love
hair.
that. Hair. We think hair, we think making money. When you think Martha Stewart, you think a welcoming home. And when you think about Jobs, you think innovation.
I do think he's a jerk.
Yeah, sure. And that's out there. So, which leads us to kind of the next phase of our discussion. So even though these people have spent tons of money, they're celebrities managing their brand for business purposes, we should all be doing that personally.
Exactly.
We have that opportunity.
We have the potential to shape our brand, to express our uniqueness, and not only understanding who we are, but what we want really helps us to determine what it is that we want in life and really control how we move forward with every chapter of our life. And it helps us to understand who we want to align ourselves with, whether it be an organization or people, and whether we like it or not, we're all a brand. It's all about learning how to manage it and control it. So just a little personal anecdote. So speaking about personal branding, I have many people that have met me, and after they have met me, have said that I'm very different than how I appeared when they first met me, that I tend to seem maybe a little bit formal or unapproachable. And when they meet me, they realize like I'm fun and not serious. And
I can actually attest to that. No offense, of course. When I first met Ann, she came across as a very no-nonsense, strong-willed, hard-nosed businesswoman, which is not necessarily to say that's a bad thing, but I was a little intimidated. And as I got to know Ann, she's the most approachable, compassionate, fun, warm, and welcoming person that I've almost ever met. So it's just a perfect example of how your personal brand comes off initially, and then how you can manage it and help evolve it a little bit.
so I didn't really love that. And granted, I'm reserved and I am a little bit shy, so I can understand that. But what that has now forced me to do is when I meet people, understanding that this was sort of the perception, I'll crack a joke or I'll sort of make that extra little effort to come across a little bit, even though I think I'm being warm, obviously there's something that's being communicated. And so I think part of what we want to talk about today is kind of understanding what your brand is, how you're being perceived, but also understanding that you can change and manage it to your advantage.
So what we're going to do today is kind of help guide you in a little bit of self-examination and helping you to shape your own personal brand. So we have some workbooks here, lots of space for note-taking, but we've also included some key categories that we would include in any brand exercise that we do, with definitions of those categories as well for reference. Way back here. Are you the rebel of the class? One more. There you are. Everybody have one? Okay. All right. So what we thought we would do is take you through an exercise that we do for a lot of our clients. We call it a brand foundation. And we've done this for companies large and small, so global corporations to really small startups. And what we want to do, what we've done for them, is help them understand who they are, what they offer, and what they want, which is a great exercise for us to look at as individuals. So we'll talk about brand characteristics, we'll talk about brand values, we'll also talk about brand propositions, and most importantly, or as important, vision. Where do we want to go? What do we want to be? What do we want out of our lives?
So before we start to explore our own personal brands, we're doing what we call the Audrey exercise.
So a little warm up.
A little warm up. And this is going to really help demonstrate the different components of sort of the branding process and what we're hoping to help you kind of discover about yourselves. We chose Audrey for obvious reasons. She's well known, she's iconic, we all kind of feel like we know her, and we thought it would be an easy person to really sort of exhibit and show how these personal characteristics can come to life. And ultimately, this exercise that we're going to do now is what we're hoping with the workbook and some of the tools that we're going to share with you, you're going to be able to go away and really do for yourself. And it's really coming up with sort of those concise defining statements that will help you understand kind of where you are and where you want to be. So this is going to be a very interactive, it's white paper, little discussion. So our first thing that we want to talk about, and the other thing too is we tend to start with easy and work up to harder. It just makes it a little bit easier. So our first section is brand character. And this is the functional and emotional associations assigned to your brand, what others perceive you to be true about you. And essentially, another way to think about this is keywords. So just words that we think of that we can identify with. Technical difficulty. The whole thing won't stick.
I didn't tell you that your technical difficulty comes on the paper.
I know. Well, it would have been with the computer too.
And I've got bribery ready. All right, so what are some keywords come to mind when we think of Audrey Hepburn?
Sophisticated.
Who said that? Who said that?
What was the other one?
Sophisticated and skinny.
Classic, I get one.
Tiffany's.
Tiffany's a weak female character.
Yeah.
Elegant. Yeah, wholesome.
Style.
Vulnerable.
Classic. Delicate.
Wave-like.
I can't even keep up with you guys.
Awake.
Oh, I didn't.
We had delicate.
Oh, yeah.
She was a product of men's world.
Feminine.
UNICEF?
Humanitarian? That would be a good word to describe her.
I don't know what this line is.
Charming. Delicate, that's a great description.
What was that?
Yep.
Got that one.
I like
Catherine.
Talent.
Yeah.
Talent.
Beautiful, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Confident?
Yep, that was good.
Elegant.
Elegant. Naive.
We have elegant.
Naive.
That's
Grace.
Put them on the table.
Very bold.
Family is family.
Family, yep. Perky. Do you have time?
Class. Time.
I like funky.
Yeah, a leading lady, I mean, in the movies, that's, she always played star, star roles.
Is that good?
I think so.
Are we happy with that list?
How about wholesome?
Wholesome? Definitely.
Feisty.
Running out of room. That's a pretty decent list. We could definitely go on and on, and we do have clients that do sometimes.
Just up, or you want to put that?
I'll put it up. I'll put it up. And we're gonna hold on to these. These are gonna be instrumental as we move forward. All right, so the next category that we look at when we're breaking down brand.
It's brand values, what you value, how you do things, your beliefs and expectations. And again, these are more kind of just keywords that come to mind, like what's important to Audrey, what does she believe in? When you think of her, what is her value system?
I would say kind of.
Depending on
Generosity.
She gave up her acting for a period of years to raise her children.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Family?
So family.
Excellence.
Excellence?
Excellence.
Maybe intelligence?
It's all I can think about.
I'd say different.
Different?
She, I mean, then she left Hollywood and was UNICEF. I mean,
She had a certain independence about herself.
Yeah.
Is different a value, or is it different more about
Being differentiate.
Not afraid to kind of break away from the pack and do what's not expected.
independent?
Yeah, independence.
Yeah, we
then,
have that.
yeah.
So how about, since Sarah, do we have, okay.
How about non-trendy? She was, she kind of set her own, yeah, time, yeah.
Little black dress.
That's a pretty good value set for Audrey Hepburn, I feel
Did you
like.
pass out a few chocolates?
I, what's that?
Did you pass out some?
I did, I took out a lot of chocolate. They were all there.
Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit trickier. And again, this is really just to kind of take you through to illustrate the process that you're hopefully going to go through afterwards using your little workbooks and some of the other exercises that we're going to do. From here, we start trying to create statements. And the reason we do keywords to start out with is we like to actually draw from, this is the foundation for starting to form these statements. So we're going to go back and circle what we think are some of the keywords in the brand character that really personify what she's all about. And like Joe was saying, I mean, we have clients that will do 300 words, and it's like you can't be all those words. Like you really have to narrow down what you are and really define. And that's, you know, that's part of this whole process, is really being very honest with yourself. And you know, the whole idea is to really come up with thoughts and statements that are going to differentiate you. So, you know, you have to be selective, which is hard sometimes.
So the next category we have is brand proposition.
Which is what you stand for, what you want to be known for, and the promise you'll live up to.
What do you want to be known for offering the world at large? So for Audrey, we can start to look at some of our brand character and our values. And do you want to identify maybe what do we think are the most representative words?
Humanitarian.
Humanitarian. Yep.
Style.
Yeah, I think elegance would be big.
I'd say feminine.
All right, so we've got 6 there. That's pretty good start. So with that being said, here's the words that are most descriptive of Audrey. How does that reflect in our brand proposition? How does that begin to show us what Audrey actually has to offer the world? We know that she's got femininity, grace, she's timeless, elegant, style, humanitarian, and family. So we can start to throw together some kind of statement that brings that to life.
Does anybody want to take a stab, or?